everybody. Yes. We are reconvening the March 11th meeting of the City of Miami Commission. We have two non-agenda items left. One is PI 6, which Commissioner Carollo has brought regarding street closures, and the other is PI 1, which the administration has brought regarding an emergency rental program. So we're going to start with PI 6. Commissioner Carollo, about how much time do you think you need?
Less than 10 minutes, probably 5.
I'll believe it when I see
Well,
it.
it won't be long. Pictures.
But you have the floor, Commissioner, and as much time as you need.
They say that pictures speak 1,000 words, and I have 32 small ones and 3 big ones. So,
just to clarify, I apologize. PI 1 was passed. PI 2 is the only remaining item in addition to your PI 6, and PI 2 is the City of Miami Administration Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So you have the floor, Commissioner Carollo.
Thank you.
PI 6.
I think we're all familiar with the situation that we were all surprised with from Miami-Dade County recently. A situation having to do with our street closures. And the county did something that was unprecedented ever, not just in the city's history, but in the county's history. They brought the City of Miami to an emergency hearing before a court on a Sunday. City attorney received notice some less than 10 hours before. We were supposed to go to court on Sunday at 10 in the morning. The city had never received official notification. In other words, they did not receive the summons. But it was done because the county alleged that there was a safety emergency, that people's lives were at risk because we, the city, had closed 4 streets in a temporary basis. And the streets that we had closed were done at the extreme ends with some concrete barriers that were maybe 3.5 feet tall, 3 feet tall, by about 4 feet each or less. And we probably had at least 10 to 12 feet where all you had were the little skinny plastic cones where our emergency vehicles could go through and out. And I cannot believe that the county claimed that when, as you see here, this is only one city in our county that I found a minimum of 32 street closures. Now, I ask you, this to the county was not dangerous if ours were. These are permanent closures in Coral Gables, like that one, like this one, 32 of them that we found all together. And by the way, these pretty ones like this, which I believe there's like 5 or 6 of them, they were recently done, maybe a year, no more than 2 years ago, from what I am told. There are many other cities that have closures. In fact, the City of Miami has street closures in Coconut Grove, in the northeast part of our city, in Cora Gate, right next door to the Gables. The difference between the street closures that we all voted for in January for the small area of Silver Bluff and these that you see here is that these were not closed because they had a terrible traffic problem. These were closed because they didn't want their neighbors across from these streets to come into the Gables through those streets. The reason we voted to close 4 streets in Silver Bluff is because years ago, the state with the county opened up 16th Avenue through residential areas to go into US 1 where there's a street light So what's happened as traffic has increased throughout the years, it's become a major thoroughfare going through a residential area in small residential streets where you have had hundreds of trucks, semi-trailers, vehicles, you name it, going through this small neighborhood in these small streets on a daily basis. As Commissioner Diaz-Liberty mentioned a few months back when we voted for this, he even got himself into an accident there. And there have been hundreds of tickets written, and people keep coming. We have put all kinds throughout the years of road bumps, of circles. Nothing stops people from coming. The neighbors cannot go out in the streets and enjoy the quality of life that they have a right to have. Several of them have expressed to me how some of their loved ones were almost run over by people speeding through there. I myself have seen it numerous times. So when they came to us with a petition, is when this commission took action with the endorsement of our mayor to close those streets. And we closed them on a temporary basis as we believe we're allowed to by law, as our city attorney stated to us. These are not permanent closures. However, I'm bringing this to the forefront for the following reason. If the county had the nerve to treat us like if we were the little country of Andorra, without total disrespect, thinking that they were going to just roll over us and we would not be able to defend ourselves, I hope they understand that they were wrong. I hope they understand by their defeat in court that this is the city of Miami, the largest city in the state of Florida, a city of 500,000 people, that we're independent from them. And frankly, we don't need them for anything. We have the downtown of Greater Miami-Dade, which is the city of Miami in our area. We have the financial center of Greater Miami-Dade, which is inside the city of Miami. We have the main public hospital for Greater Miami-Dade, which is inside the city of Miami limits. We have the Port of Miami, which is inside city limits. And we have a portion, small, of the airport that is within city limits. So I hope that this respect and the bulliness that they showed, they will understand that they can't do this to the city of Miami. And I wanted to show this so that our residents can see how hypocritical their statements, their actions have been. How can they come at us with just in the Gables? You have about 3 dozen street closures that, if our little one that was temporary, in the way that I describe it, was dangerous, then what can you call these here as far as danger? But the truth here is that this has happened, and from the mayor of Dade County to their chief operating officer, whatever he's called, Mr. Morales, to everyone that has had interaction in this, they all know that this has happened because the county commissioner in this area is upset with the city mayor, city commissioners, with the neighborhood association in that area, and many of its people, because we did not support her for county commission. And we have been targeted as a city. They're doing this to punish us, teach us a lesson, among other things that have happened already, and I've tried to ignore. But this one, we're right on. We're defending our residents, Granted, it's a small neighborhood, but it's not a rich neighborhood, and they don't have hundreds of votes or big pockets for contributions in an election. But nevertheless, this commission, this government did the right thing in coming out and protecting their quality of life. That's not to say that you have 100% consensus. Never in life do you have 100% consensus of practically anything. There's a few people in the area that for whatever reason, they're entitled to it, don't agree with us. But the vast majority of the residents in that area do agree with it. And I wanted to show what is happening to some of our other neighbors, how they've done it. And I'm not picking in Coral Gables today. They have a right to do this in their own streets. They just happen to have the first 32 that I saw, and there are many other cities with other closures throughout Miami-Dade County. Having said that, I've asked the city attorney to place a public records request on every city, all 33 other cities outside of Miami, for all their street closures, when they did them, and if they had county approval, among other things. And we're asking the county for the same thing, so that we could show the hypocrisy behind this, so that we could show that this is a personal vendetta for one of their commissioners. This is targeting from one of their commissioners against the city of Miami, and one neighborhood that, if there ever has been a neighborhood that needs help in street closures, is this one.
Commissioner Reyes.
Commissioner Carrillo, I'm glad that you showed this, and I'm glad that you're asking the city attorney, and I support you 100%, and I want to add to it. You see, I been in contact with the county, and the same example, the same question that you have made, I have made it before. How in the world we cannot close any street when Coral Gables have done it? The answer has been they have done it illegally. And I want to add to what your request or your instructions to the city attorney that we get from the county. And they told me that in order to close a street, you have to go through a process. Well, I'm instructing the city attorney to ask what is the process to close a street. How many streets have been closed in Dade County following that process? How many streets are closed in the county that have not followed that process, therefore that are illegal? And what is the action, the proposed action that is going to take place from them? You see, that if I may add to your request, sir.
Commissioner, I feel that there has been a tremendous bad faith from the county in this. There has been selective enforcement as I've never seen it before, because neither Coral Gables nor any of these other cities, nor in all of our other areas in Miami, has anyone gotten through that process of getting permits for the county to have permanent closures, not temporary like these, that we're allowed.
Yes.
And for the county to take action only on these 4 streets and completely ignored, like everything that I'm showing you here and so much more doesn't exist.
Let's find out.
It's plain wrong, it's hypocritical, and it's discriminatory. Discriminatory against a neighborhood, and frankly, a neighborhood that truly needs it because of real traffic. These closures here, not one of them has or had any kind of major traffic problems before they were closed. They were closed for other reasons, not for traffic.
If I may, I had lived on 7th Street, across from Coral Gables, 7th and 53rd, way before those streets were closed, way before it. And it was more because of keeping people outside because of crime than on traffic. They claimed that it was traffic. It's for keeping people outside.
And they have a right to do it.
They have a right
I'm
to
not
do it.
saying that they don't.
That's right, but I want to know what makes them different from us.
Well,
Okay, I want to know if they went through the same process that we are. To start with, what is the process? What is the process? Who dictates? I mean, who is which? Because I had conflicting information, and I'm going to have a meeting pretty soon with the mayor about this because I want to talk about this because I think, and it is my opinion, that just as you stated, we are taxpayers. We pay county taxes also, and therefore the county is responsible for maintaining the quality of life of the residents in the city of Miami also.
but
So we should either work together or not, and I'm going to meet with the mayor. But one thing that I want to know is, in all those conflicting, because I've been dealing with this since day one that I was, sworn in. I want to know who is, what institution or what government is responsible for all the, I would say, roadblocks that they place us when we want to close the street, when we want to place stop signs, when we want to place the light. I mean, is that federal? Is that state? Or it is just the county, the one that they make the decision arbitrarily? I want to know. That's why I'm asking for the process, and I want to clear this up once and for all. So if we're going to, or maybe we can take property of what street. We maintain them. We pave them. We should be able to do with it.
that is correct. These are our streets. We pay for the asphalting of the streets, the maintenance of the streets, and everything else that happens in those streets.
Yes, sir. Thank you for bringing this up.
Again, on the county ordinance, our position is in the city that we've taken, is that we can do temporary closing like we have. But all these other dozens upon dozens of cities that have full closures, why isn't the county concerned about that? Why is it only this area? And then the worst part is that the same commissioner, and I'm going to call her by her name, Eileen Higgins, she's not happy enough to try to do all this with the county government, and she has been the one that has gone to the mayor, that has gone to Mr. Morales, that has gone to everybody else, no matter how much she wants to say publicly that she doesn't know anything about it or has done anything about it. She has been the one. But her own chief of staff lives in Cora Gate, one area that has numerous, I don't know if it's 7, 8, or 9, street closures. And we didn't get any county permits for that in the city of Miami when they were closed. None at all. The sad thing is that now they're trying to recruit people from outside of the area to see how they could pretend that they live in the area to speak against it. Now, again, there's not 100% consensus here, nor in anything else. There are a few people that, for whatever the reasons are, they don't want the street closures. You have a gentleman that was very loud, that lives in an apartment building that's not part of the residential neighborhood in the corner, that it's a very large apartment building, I think about 60 or more units, and he drives trucks, he was used to parking his cab and inside the neighborhood, which is illegal. You can't put in a commercial vehicle inside a residential area. I was told by police officers that he had been cited twice already. He's against this. Well, I could understand why. He's got a personal reason. You have another gentleman in 17th Avenue that is against it, but he lives next to commercial property. And somehow, I guess he thinks maybe that if we don't block it, that he can make that into commercial, but the guy doesn't live there, even though he told me he did and wasn't truthful. He lives in another neighborhood, and he's selling that property and selling it as a triplex, not a duplex, which is what it is, on top of it. So there are people that are against this, and others that, frankly, don't have any different reasons, like I mentioned here. They just don't want it, and I respect that. But in America, we respect the opinion of the majority, and the vast majority have asked us that they wanted these street closures. So that's all I have to say, and I thank you for this time. If any one of you want to add to it, feel free to.
But I want to ask you something, Commissioner. Bless you. I want to ask you something, Commissioner. Saying what you can say publicly, walk us through the arrogance of the last week from the county government. From Mr. Morales, walk us through the arrogance of the county government with respect to this issue in the last week from Mr. Morales on down, right? Their imposition on our city and on our residents. Tell us what happened so that the people can know what happened as this move forward, as they tried to take our barriers down, as we had to send our police department to stop them from trespassing on our citizens' rights. Because you're right, the vast majority, I grew up 6 blocks from this area, as you know. The vast majority of the people in this area want their children to be safe, their pets to be safe. They don't want that cut-through traffic that exists. A small minority, because of political pressures or for political reasons, is opposed to the closures. But the vast majority supports the closures of these 4 roads. Tell us what happened the last week and what the city can do moving forward.
Well, basically what happened last week, the county sent their police uniform. They sent big trucks to take out the temporary barriers that we had. And the manager, when he found out about it, did the right thing. He stopped it from happening. Look, this is amazing that the county would do this. Why didn't they do it here? Why didn't they do it anywhere else in other cities where there are closures with no permits? Only there. Only where Commissioner Higgins doesn't want them.
And this is a life and safety issue for our community, for our citizens, right?
Of course, it's a real safety issue. That's the only reason.
The Coral Gables closures, tell me if I'm wrong, the Coral Gables, the 32 closures that basically closed off Coral Gables was because that affluent community didn't want to have Miamians visit them, right? Or go through their streets. And nobody argued about that. Nobody complained about that, because I'm sure there are major campaign contributors that live there and major people that are influential, right? But this is a life and safety issue for our residents. To get traffic off, people that go off US 1, to get away from US 1 and cut through. Where children are playing. I've seen signs. I go through that neighborhood all the time to visit my parents.
That's exactly.
And the children on bicycles, and it says, drive like they have signs that say, drive like your children live here. And people don't do that. We put speed humps and all kinds of what we can't do legally. Why is it that in this particular neighborhood, the county commissioner and the county government insist that 4 closures for the state that will protect our children and our pets and our residents and our elderly too, because the elderly walk? Why is it that they're hell-bent on not letting this happen?
Commissioner, because they're letting their county commissioner in the area extract her revenge against the city of Miami and the residents of that area that did not support her. And that's totally wrong. As you see here, and look, any city that owns its own streets for whatever reason, that they want to do street closures, that's their business. But I have driven through each one of these areas, and there's not a single site here that had major traffic. You could see it. If they were open, they would not have major traffic. This area here is hundreds of vehicles, hundreds, every day, constantly. Rush hours, they go on for 3 hours, morning, afternoon. You can't cross some of the streets there. So why would they have done this? And that's the point that I'm trying to make and the message that I want to leave this commissioned chambers today. Why didn't they do to all these closures and many others in Miami-Dade County what they try to do to the small, poor area of Silver Bluff? Why?
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any more comments on this item?
Maybe from our city attorney, I think there was a question of where we are in the legal process with the county. And our city manager, I can't see him.
He's out.
He's gone?
Lobby.
Oh, okay. Where we are right now? Where are we?
Right now, after we had the emergency hearing on this past Sunday, the roads remain closed, just with different barriers, which were approved by the county Public Works person that spoke at the hearing, and the roads remain closed. Going forward, we will have to obviously work with the county on permanent closures. However, at this point, we are appealing one portion of the order, the judge's order that had to do with the abatement and 164 intergovernmental procedures, that we should have been allowed to work with the county and mediate with the county, have a joint meeting with the county in order to address these issues. So we're, right now, anything having to do with the road closures is stayed. So the county should not be able to do anything to those road closures at this time while we appeal that portion of the order.
That's a legal part, if I may, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Manager. So your administration will hold firm, right? These roads remain closed because we're protecting our citizens, right? That's your position.
Yeah, it's been our position all along. We obviously resubmitted documentation that was requested by the county. And as far as we're concerned, until this process has been sort of carried forward to its conclusion, that condition will remain unchanged.
Okay, thank you.
Madam City Attorney, legal question. And our argument was that there were certain processes that should have been followed prior to a hearing, the mediation, et cetera. One of those items is a joint meeting of the commissions. Is that a joint of the full bodies or a quorum or representatives of each commission?
It's literally a commission meeting of the city of Miami with a commission meeting of the county.
Logistically, how does that happen?
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm
I can't
really
wait.
excited about this.
Logistically, so the city of Miami, I think we did this with Key Biscayne, both commissions. We did it at Miami-Dade County College, Miami-Dade Community College. We did that in around 2016 when we had the litigation with Key Biscayne over Marine Stadium. And that is the intergovernmental dispute resolution process that you're supposed to first have meetings of the managers. And then if that doesn't work out, you have meetings of the commissions. And if that doesn't work out, then you enter into full-blown mediation. If that doesn't work out, then you go to court.
But in the Key Biscayne case, there was not full commissions present, nor even a quorum. It was simply a representative of the commission.
No, the commissions were there. It was
Really?
two commissions.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Are there any other comments or questions for?
I think, Mr. Chairman, that'll be a fascinating meeting to have.
I'm not sure who would be the chair in that meeting.
Well, you'll be the acting chair, I think, for a while, right?
Well, the county has one too.
Oh, they do, really? I didn't
Well,
know
they
that. But I think it'd be interesting to air it out because I think Commissioner Carollo made a very valid point earlier today when he said that county commissioners that represent only municipal areas, completely, two municipalities, Miami Beach and Miami, for example, and no unincorporated areas, really don't provide much work or much service to those particular areas. It's a city commissioner that do the work, right? In this case, it's you, Commissioner. Carollo, and Miami Beach, the commissioner for Miami Beach. So to me, that kind of imposition of the county's will, the strong arming to the detriment of our residents, it's disturbing, very disturbing. And to have a public conversation about that, which I think, and I thank you, Commissioner Carollo, for bringing this forward today, because you're shining a light on things that really, really matter here. This is a real big issue in this community. I know, because my parents lived there. I grew up there. It's been an issue for a long time. And finally, someone took action. This commission took action a couple months ago, and then we took action, physically took action to close those roads. And some appointed administrator from Miami Beach, your former commissioner, comes on board and says, hey, I'm not going to put up with this, and with sheer arrogance says, we'll do whatever the heck I want to do. You know, send the Public Works Department from Miami-Dade there and close it down. And our manager, to your credit, Mr. Manager, with the courage, says, you know what, that's not going to happen. And you went out there, and I saw you on TV and what you did, and that's important. So I think that we continue to bring light to this issue, and we make sure that people understand that the city of Miami, that the city commissioners fight for city of Miami residents. And no outsider can come in and impose their will and their way of thinking in our community. And I thank you, Commissioner, for doing this.
Thank you. But you mentioned arrogance. This is much more than arrogance. This, frankly, is malice. This is done with malice because we were dragged without even being served, with just a few hours' notice to go to court under false pretense to the court. Because if Commissioner Higgins truly felt that the temporary barricades that we had put, that the whole frontage were skinny plastic cones, only at the ends that we had maybe 3.5, 4 feet of concrete that was about 3 foot high, if they really felt that that was dangerous, it was a life safety issue. Look at these here. Look at these here. Why didn't they drag these ever into court? And then the worst part is where I'm showing the malice. If all they wanted us was to switch the 2 small concrete barriers at the end for plastic one with water, why didn't they ever tell us that? No, they went into court demanding that we take everything down. And they lost. They lost because the judge saw through it. And even in a limited hearing that we had. And I want them to understand that if they want to keep this up, they're going to have to bring in every other street closure in Miami-Dade County, in every city, into it. Because we're not going to be the only small area, because it's poor, because it's weak, that's going to have to close, temporary closings, and dozens upon dozens of others, because, frankly, they're from more richer, affluent neighborhoods, can do whatever they want. I support that for cities in their streets to do whatever they want. But if the county is going to tell us that we can't protect the safety of our residents, and they're going to give us a lame, frivolous excuse, then they're going to have to use that same excuse to all these street closures and many others in other cities that I haven't shown here today. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And if I may, Commissioner, I may add, Mr. Chair, the county commissioner from District 7 at the time that this happened was Jimmy Morales. He represented part of Coral Gables. So he was okay with closing Coral Gables streets back then when he was their county commissioner, but he's not okay with closing our streets for the safety of our children and our residents. So that the record is a record. You can't run away from that.
I'm glad you reminded us of that. That's correct. That was, he was elected in
1993, Commissioner.
1993, yeah.
District 7.
No. Was it not? No, it wasn't 93.
93 with my older brother.
No. He was, I first got elected mayor in
You're correct,
96.
you're correct. You're
So it was
97.
after.
Yeah, you're correct.
97.
After Maurice Ferre.
Yeah, I know, because he was one of my creations. I ran his first campaign. Anyway.
But the point is that he was, you're right, I got the date wrong.
Yeah.
But you're right, he was okay with closing down Coral Gables
Yeah.
streets, but not okay with protecting City of Miami residents.
But-
And that, to me,
well-
that's where the arrogance comes in, right?
Again, this is clear, and everybody in the county knows it. He knows it, the mayor knows it, that this has been coming from one commissioner. The same commissioner that has been doing all kinds of things to us with the COVID vaccines that, I don't want to even bring up because, when she's ordering police officers not to allow a city commissioner to go into an area of the city of Miami that we are allowed to, it's to the point that, I've never seen this before happen between the county or any other city. And anyway, thank you for your time, commissioners, Mr. Chair. But this is something that I think we needed to put out. And this is nothing personal against Coral Gables or any other city. They have a right to close their streets. I just wanted to show the hypocrisy and, frankly, the malice that's coming from the county towards the city.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner. That brings PI 6 discussion item to a close. I've been notified by the mayor that he would like to enter 3 pocket items, which are basically amendments to our legislative priorities. So I'm going to name those PI 9, PI 10, and PI 11.
Sorry, can you just identify?
I
what-
will right now. So PI, and all 3 are resolutions opposing Senate and House bills that are currently in the state legislature. So PI 9 opposes Senate Bill 1236 and House Bill 617. This has to do with, these would prevent the state from adopting or participating in greenhouse gas emission reduction programs without explicit legislative authorization. That's PI 9. PI 10 opposes Senate Bill 1128 and its related House Bill 919, both of which seek to preempt local government restriction of utility services. PI 11 is opposing Senate Bill 856 and House Bill 839, both of which seek to preempt local government regulation of energy infrastructure and transportation energy infrastructure. So those are PI 9, 10, and 11 that I'd like to enter into the record. Just to make sure I've got 3 on the dais, is there a motion to accept those 3 legislative priorities?
I want to oppose the first one you mentioned,
9.
9, I'm sorry, okay. Let me make sure I get it right.
Wait, it's a resolution opposing, so you want to oppose the resolution opposing, or you want to also oppose the Senate and House bills?
I'm okay with the bill, with the Senate and House bill, 9. The other ones, I agree with you.
Got it. So just for the record, Commissioner Carollo, PI 9 is the one, 1236 and 617. These bills would prevent the state from adopting or participating in greenhouse gas emissions reductions programs without explicit legislative authorization. So the mayor is asking us to add this to our legislative priorities so that our lobbyists in Tallahassee can oppose those bills. Do you have a position on that?
I'll vote along with these.
All right. So
Because, well, you need to clarify, just to make sure.
let's vote them separately then, because it sounds like you may be opposed to at least one of them, so.
Right, but explain what Senate Bill 1236 and House Bill 617 do.
Sure. I'll read the whereas. So Senate Bill 1236 and House Bill 617 have been filed. They would prevent the state from adopting or participating in greenhouse gas emission reduction programs without explicit legislative authorization.
That's it. So all it is it allows them to vote, their elected representatives to vote on whether they want to accept the Paris agreement or other kind of climate change agreements that exist. So all it does is the legislation, 617, House Bill 617 and Senate Bill 1236, is that the legislature, the duly elected representatives can vote whether to accept the specific standards set by these global agreements. So that's why I would oppose this, because I think that that's why we have elected representatives, elected senators. They have a right to make a decision based on the people that elected them, in their opinion, on what happens with those particular. Doesn't mean I'm opposed to these issues. There are some provisions in the Paris Agreement that works, and there are good things. There are some that I disagree with, because I think that it does not hold other countries like China and India accountable for the emissions that the problems they're causing, really, to the world. And it holds the United States and our industries and our business accountable where it doesn't hold other countries. So to me, to have our state legislature make that decision on a more local level, on a less global level, is important to me. So that's why I would oppose it.
I understand your position. I do want our state to do its part, though, regardless of the merits or problems with the Paris Climate Agreement and what positions people take on that. The state of Florida should be doing its part to reduce emissions in any way
Of
possible.
course, and they will. That's why we have elected representatives, elected senators, to make those decisions.
But this is what it says here, without explicit legislative authorization.
Right.
So, as I am understanding this, that we will be opposing it unless there's direct, explicit legislative authorization.
What the bill does is that nothing has to happen, the federal government cannot mandate to the state of Florida
Yeah.
certain things, certain standards, unless the legislature authorizes it.
Yeah, that.
That's what the bill does.
Yeah,
So I'm not opposed to that bill. I
Yeah.
think the state should authorize it.
I agree.
All right, then
agree.
what I'd recommend, since this is the mayor's item, that if he'd like to make its case at another point, we bring it up then. At this point, let's just,
Okay,
there's no motion for it,
That's
so
fair.
let's just leave that off.
and let's take the other two.
So PI 10 and 11, if there is support for that, is there a motion?
Motion.
I'll second that.
Moved by Commissioner Carrillo, seconded by Commissioner Reyes. Now, I do need to open for public comment. Can you help me with that, Mr. Manager? So if there's anybody on that would like to call in, you go to miamigov.com/virtual meeting. You get instructions for a call line. We need to be able to have public comment throughout the meeting in case a pocket item involves an action.
And Chairman, remember that the public comment form on the website is available, and that is updated throughout the whole meeting.
The email form.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So people can email their comments in, which we may or may not see in the moment, which may or may not weigh in on our decision-making, or you can call in. We're doing everything we can during COVID for people not to have to come to City Hall. And I know it's complicated from a technical perspective to keep the lines open all day, but we do need to be ready. So first of all, is there anyone who has called in on the pocket items?
Still in the process of reestablishing it, so.
Got it. So I will table these two items. We've still got to take up at least the item on the emergency rental assistance. And so we do have a motion in a second, but I'd like to table these two. Is that okay, Todd? We can take up. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So we're just going to table these PI 10 and 11. PI 9 was not voted on. So please advise the mayor. Please advise the mayor that if he'd like to bring PI 9 to the next commission meeting, he's very welcome to bring it to our attention and make the case for it.
You were saying you wanted to table the other two?
Yes, because we can't do public comment until the phone line's not working.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just going to take up the emergency rental assistance item. Before we do that, Mr. Manager, I had a procedural question. 6 months ago, in September, we passed a resolution of the City Commission giving the manager direction to bring back within 6 months a West Coconut Grove affordable housing blueprint plan, basically a zoning exercise, working with the community and the stakeholders and the elected to bring back a plan for affordable housing and zoning changes within the West Grove. It's rhetorical for me to ask where that is because I know it hasn't been done. And that bothers me because that neighborhood is under incredible pressure for displacement, gentrification, people getting kicked out of their homes and buildings being knocked down. People are just land banking there. We need to incentivize the affordability, not just through the carrot of our bond or a potential CRA, but through the stick side of a zoning change that will actually drive affordability and incentivize that. I would just like to get a status of where that is, and if we needed to have hired an outside firm, I'd like to understand why we did not do that 6 months ago to carry us through this process. And if the answer is at this point, we do need that outside help, I would like to direct the manager to bring that outside help in the process of a 4/5 in the coming weeks at the commission, so that we can get that going. I know you don't have the pool ready yet, but that's my ask. So Jeremy, could you help me understand, Mr. Gauger, could you help me understand where we are in the process of that zoning? Because I really want to know that when this commission makes a direction to the manager, that it gets followed through on. And it hasn't been in this case.
Good afternoon, sir. Jeremy Kaus-Gaugard, Assistant Director for the Planning Department. So I can give an update because we were looking at bringing that along through two different tracks. One was if we go through an RFQ process for this particular project. And the other one is we are in the process of bringing on a pool of consultants, but we're still in, I don't want to speak for procurement about exactly where we are in the process, but we've reviewed firms and moving on to next steps. So at this point, if we want to act most quickly, it would probably be through the 4/5, because we have developed scope of work and so we have made progress on it, but we're in procurement so I think.
You're in procurement on the pool, not on this.
On the pool, yes. But we have done the steps that we need in terms of developing scope of work and similar preparation.
And I know we were in transition with directorship of the planning department at this time, but the manager's been here since September. You've been here since September. I'd like to understand why. The wake-up call for me was at one of the community meetings about the CRA when I was told, we're not working on this yet, we're waiting for the CRA, and that was a shock to me, because these are not related items. Zoning is one thing that this body manages completely independent, and there was a resolution directing the manager to bring back a final plan within 6 months. If there was a pool that wasn't going to be put together for 8 or 9 months, why didn't someone come back to this commission and say, we need direction to hire someone now? If you need, we thought you could do this in-house. But if you can't do it in-house, you got to tell us that you need help from outside, which is fine, so that we could have taken action. We've lost 6 months on this project, and the residents are waiting for this. Really, really could use the help. And I think with my limited time left in office, I want to spur this zoning and create these incentives so that the affordable housing can be created as quickly as possible. We're trying to create or preserve 3,000 units a year right now in the city, and we're not anywhere near that. So I need your help.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I went to the restroom, so what are we talking about?
6 months ago, we as a body gave direction for the manager to create the West Grove Affordable Housing Blueprint.
Okay.
The deadline for that was 3 days ago, and I don't know why it's not on the agenda today to give us the final product.
So it's not the issue that's on our regular agenda?
No.
It's just something you brought out of the clear blue?
It should be on our regular agenda, because 6 months is up, and the management should have brought back.
Okay, so you're bringing out a totally different issue, it's not something that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's why I was a little bit lost.
Sorry, before we close the meeting. But
Because-
we deal with so many things, but all of us need to know that when we pass a reso, it gets followed through on
That's true.
by the administration.
That's true.
And if it can't be for any reason, come back to us. Come to me in my office directly. And, I mean, we want to see success here. We don't want to be up here going, what happened? Why didn't we do it? And I really feel like the ball was dropped. This neighborhood was completely forgotten on this issue. So yes, I would like the most rapid way possible to 4/5 an outside company to conduct this for you. If you guys can't do it in-house, I need it done. So if you could bring something back, if procurement could bring something back at the next meeting, that would be great. Is that good? Thank you. It's just direction. There's no need for a vote. Hi, Annie.
If I may, just to let you know where the pool is, you'll be getting today. Okay, disinfect when I get back to my desk. We are about to engage into the negotiations phase with the firms, okay?
Thank you.
Just to let
Good
you
luck
know.
with the pool, but we need to get rolling on this one.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you very much. So, we have 3 remaining items on the agenda. One is the management's emergency rental assistance, and then we've tabled the other 2 legislative items, PI 10 and 11, until we get the phone lines back up. So I will open up for the administration on PI
2.
2. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, Commissioners. My name is Alfredo Duran with the Department of Housing and Community Development. As you know, on February 11th, we approved the allocation of just a little bit over $14 million from the U.S. Treasury Department for our emergency rental program. At the time, the department felt that we were going to implement that program, but considering the amount of money involved and the length of time that it would take to ramp up the capacity of the department as well as the necessary technology to manage the program, it was felt that it was the best interest of the city to outsource it to a company with the track record and with the capacity to be able to operate or that have operated similar programs in other municipalities. We believe that Nan McKay is that company for many reasons, primarily their experience in managing these types of contracts and these types of programs around the country, but they also bring two unique qualities. One, they are the ones who are operating this program for the county, making it easier for us to piggyback on that particular contract. And two, their involvement would ensure that there's no duplication of benefits, something that the federal government is key on not happening. So we highly recommend that you take action on this emergency purchase service of Nan McKay, as recommended by the manager, so that we can proceed with the program. Now, I know that you must have questions regarding the program itself, so that's where we're at.
You're recognized, Commissioner Diaz-Portillo.
So the program, as the Department of Treasury outlines it, is a lot broader than what you're proposing. We spoke about this in our briefing yesterday, correct? And can you hear me okay? Because I have difficulty with this mask. Yesterday in our briefing, we discussed the broad nature of the federal program as the Department of Treasury outlined it, which allows for household expenses. It's not only rental assistance, but things like internet and other household expenses to be included, where we pay directly to the landlord or to the utility company or to the internet company, whatever is owed. We first cover the arrears of past rent, and then we have up to 3 months of future rent that could be covered and additional expenses that could be covered, including internet and other what's defined or loosely defined by the Department of Treasury, the Federal Department of Treasury, as household expenses, correct? The way you presented it yesterday to me in my briefing was that it will only cover rent. What I countered with was, why not include things like internet access that for poor children in particular, especially during these difficult times, that they have access to internet for virtual learning and other things that they're going out learning from school instead of going to school, learning from home instead of going to school. I would like for the program to reflect what the national program reflects, what it is, so that it's broader in nature and not to take it to the limit that we give 3 months of additional rent when we can give maybe 1 month or 2 months so people get back on their feet instead of, that way we can help more people get back on their feet instead of giving one person 3 months of rent in advance and say, hey, you know, you don't have to pay rent for 3 months, and then they won't pay rent for 3 months because they don't have to. But maybe they'll get their job back or they are back on their feet after a month or 2 months. So we have the flexibility, the commissioners can decide, the city can decide, hey, we'll give them 2 months, we'll give them 1 month of rent, and then we'll come back and look at it again. Does that flexibility exist in the way you envision this program?
Absolutely. We agree with you, and we look to take advantage of whatever provisions that the federal government gives us or whatever flexibility it does that'll be an advantage to our residents. So I hear you. When the guidance came out after the original program, they did expand on that, and it does include other expenses within the utilities, other expenses, and even housing stability services that we will make clear in our program that we will cover those expenses as well.
Right, because I think the actual language is housing instability.
Correct.
Which can be defined in many ways, right? So it's
Correct.
very broad.
Exactly.
So you guys can come in and say, hey, all these things are included within what we consider housing instability.
Correct.
So the person not only gets to pay the rent, but they also get to have basic cable or internet or things that are essential, especially in COVID times that, you know, people may not think that cable matters, but when you're lonely, when you're older, when you're alone, cable may matter, right? Basic cable. And of course, when you have children, you can pay the rent, but the kids can't access the internet to go and learn virtually, right? So the broadness of the program is important for me, obviously well documented. I also understand that some landlords may not want to disclose the financials of the program, the federal program requires. So we notify the landlord, they have 21 days, if I understand it correctly. We notify them via certified mail, they have 21 days to respond, and if they don't respond, or they respond they're not interested in participating, then we can then pay the tenant directly, is that correct?
The program permits that, yes.
Okay. What, or they use Dan McKay or any other company, what fraud provisions do you have in place to make sure that the tenant doesn't take the money and run?
Yeah, it was our position that we would not go in that direction because obviously if there is a situation where a landlord does not want to participate, there are certain risk factors of giving the money directly to the tenant. Therefore, it was felt that the commission had indicated, or the will of the commission was to not go in that direction. And if that has changed now, then I would like to know.
I'm just asking,
Yeah.
the program, the federal program, I mean, Mr. Chair, through you. The federal, I'm sorry, I'm doing this, I'm shielding you guys over there, but so I can be better understood. The federal program allows for the payment to go directly to the tenant.
It does.
The federal program also requires that the landlord submits certain financial documents.
Yes.
That may be cumbersome to some Palm Beach real estate owner of a building and say, I don't care, I'm just a victim, I'm not gonna participate in this program. I don't wanna show my financials, right?
Exactly.
So we have to have some sort of provision with the proper fraud protections in place to allow the tenant to receive the money and pay. When it comes to utilities and internet and other things like that, I get it, we pay them directly, right? The city will pay the utility company directly, the internet company directly. Things like, let's say you need to fix the plumbing, some household expenses. The law also says household expenses. What are those household expenses? Is mowing the lawn a household expense? Is fixing the plumbing, a leak, the electricity? Are those household expenses? In other words, quality of life issues that it's not only, hey, we're paying your rent, but you have to live in a place where the toilet doesn't work or where the electricity doesn't work or your lawn is, overgrown. How you define those household expenses? Are you going to mirror the federal program, the federal law, so that we don't reinvent the wheel?
Correct.
That's
Whatever latitude, whatever liberty it gives us, we will, to the letter of that provision, permit those payments to be made to that particular tenant.
Okay, and Nan McKay or whatever company you pick is going to make sure that fraud provisions are in place so people don't abuse it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Commissioner
Mr.
Reyes.
Chair, I'm listening and I'm wondering. I didn't know anything about the ability to pay electricity, cable, anything. I mean, and listen, it's not that I have anything against it, but nobody has informed me of all or has briefed me in this program because listening to Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, this is a different program than the one that I've been talking about.
Yeah,
You see, totally different. Because I have people been asking, and they've been asking in the news and the radio. You have a program. The program that we announced was up to $2,000 for rent, and a maximum of $24,000 per household. And it all depends on, we made it clear during the press conference that it's not that you're going to receive $2,000. It is going to be up to how much you pay in rent. And this was a eviction prevention program. You see? I would like to be briefed in all the probabilities, on all possibilities, on all everything that got to be paid. And I think that is something that we have to decide. I have been telling everybody that had asked, called my office, I had stuck to the first idea of the program. And now I'm hearing all of this, and I said, well, is this a different program? Or is it the same program that is adding all the payments? You see, I want to be brief, and I think that we should make a decision. You see? how the program is going to be working.
Well, the program will include a maximum of $2,000 per month in rent, up to $24,000, which includes
Yes.
will include also all other utility and or other-
Wait. Within that $2,000, the utilities are included within the $2,000.
That's
The
correct.
maximum, hold on a second. I want him to make it clear for me. Within that program, you have $2,000 maximum per household, right? That includes rent and utilities?
Yes, sir.
Or it is $2,000, I mean, let's say that a person that is paying $1,900 per month, you're gonna give them $2,000, and that will be $1,900 for rent and $100 for utilities? Or it is based only on rent?
No, it's based on eligibility per month of $2,000, which includes both rent and utilities.
Okay,
There are going to be many different situations where.
Well, I would like to get you to clarify it, because I don't want to be misinforming anybody. You see, because I want everybody to have the idea, to have clear what they are what they're entitled to, how much they're going to be able to receive, and how they can divide it. I don't know. But what you're saying is that everybody, all those people that applied and they qualify, they will be receiving $2,000.
Up to $2,000 per month.
Listen, everybody's going to ask for the $2,000. Okay, it's going to be $2,000 regardless of the amount of rent that they pay. If they pay $1,500, they're going to receive $2,000, because the rest is going to be, that's what I understood, the rest is going to be, they can claim that that is their household expenses and the cable, whatever it is. Is that the case?
Yes, sir. If you
So it's not only for rent?
it's
Or
only,
mortgage.
it's not only rent, no. It will not
That
only
is
be
the
rent.
maximum is, I want to make this clear, the maximum is $2,000.
Yes, sir, per
And
month.
within that $2,000,
But it's
you
not.
pay, hold on a second, you pay your rent, and whatever is left, if you want also to include in your request, if you're including your electricity bill, and you include your cable bill, and you include all of that, that is that the maximum, the $2,000 is going to be for rent and expenses.
Correct.
Okay. It is not that you're going to get $2,000 plus your expenses.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to know and make it clear, because I wasn't informed that what I've been misinforming is what we heard out there, and that says it's going to be $2,000 or your rent or your mortgage.
Yes, before the program.
Maximum of $2,000.
If I may, Commissioner, it's not $2,000. You, the department,
Yes,
said it was $2,000.
correct,
It could be $3,000, it could be $1,500, it could be whatever we decide.
correct.
So it's not $2,000. That's the number that they came up with.
Okay.
The federal, it's important to know, the federal legislation allows for up to $24,000 to one particular household, depending on a number of things that they say, 80% poverty level, demonstrate a need for financial hardship or housing instability. So it could be whatever we decide. It cannot be, if they have, for example, I'll give you an example, Commissioner, they're in arrears in their rent for 6 months, that has to be paid first. Then we can move forward to pay 3 months moving forward of rent, whatever that rent is, utilities, internet, whatever we decide, this commission decides.
I
right?
heard you.
Okay, and then we can do 1 month or 2 months. We have to do 3 months, but we can never do more than 3 months. It has to be in increments of 3 months. And we go back for another 3 months for that particular X individual. The $2,000 is a number they came up with. I don't know how, but they think it's a right number. It could be
3,000, it could be 2,500.
Yes.
What I want to do is that it's very quickly, I want to make sure that we can include, if the person makes a request, they fit the criteria, I want to make sure that I include utilities and internet and other things within that request. And maybe we say, you know what, we're going to pay them 1 month or 2 months.
I know what you want to do. I know what you want to do.
But the 2,000 is not
But hold on a
mandated by the
second.
feds.
Hold on a
It's mandated, it's by them.
You
by the
said,
administration.
you just said that at a maximum of $24,000 a year.
Total.
You divide that into 12, it's $2,000.
The-
The maximum that they can get is $2,000.
No, because they can only get 3 months.
Well, I mean,
They could be in arrears for 3 months, and we pay 3 months, and that's only, 12,000, right?
but what you want to do is make it flexible that you can give a person $4,000 if they need it, or $5,000. I don't know about that. I have to think about it. You see, I think that we should
No.
we should have it standard.
No, we don't give a person anything. We pay
No.
we pay the utility, we pay the internet company, and we pay their rent for a month, right? We don't pay them anything. If the landlord doesn't respond on the rental part of it, right, then the law allows for 21 days and no response for us to give them that
Okay.
monthly payment. But we can also, we cut that check directly to the landlord too, right?
Yes.
Yes, so we're not gonna give the person $2,000 cash or $5,000 cash.
And I'm gonna
We're
ask-
gonna pay bills, we're gonna pay the phone company, the electrical company.
Please, give me all the, give me a memo or whatever you're going to, all the information of the different scenarios, how it's going to work,
Yes.
in order to have it clear. You see?
The other thing I wanna do, Commissioner, I have, because, look, and this is no criticism of the administration, but it's an observation. I had to go online to the Department of Treasury and get the frequently asked questions, which I have here.
Yes.
And the outline of the program, the ERA program, to kind of get an idea and inform myself on what it was. You didn't give me that information. You haven't given this commission the information. On a moving forward basis, constructive criticism, these kind of programs are very complex. You explained to us all the options so we can make more informed and better decisions on what's available to us, what tools are available to us. I will have my office distribute to everyone the frequently asked questions from the Department of Treasury.
Please.
It's only like 8 pages, and then that's where I got the information.
Commissioner, we should have received.
But I didn't get it from them, that's
We
what I'm
should
saying.
have- that is my
And
question.
we should have gotten it from you, because all you have to do is Google it, and we would have gotten it.
Yes.
These programs are complex. $14 million is a lot of money, and people are in a lot of need, right? So just give us the information so we can make better decisions, I know everybody's running around to try to collect the dollars and get dollars moving and get programs going. And we're all learning as we move forward, all these new stimulus bills that are happening, all that. I get all that. But it's important to have information to know that we have that flexibility. I would love to be able to help a resident, for example, Commissioner. I would love to be able to give somebody 1 month of rent, pay their utility for that month, pay their internet, and maybe they're back on their feet the second month,
Yeah,
right? Instead of giving 3 months of rent, and they're gonna say, you know what? I don't have to do anything. I got 3 months of rent.
According to the need.
Right.
I mean,
according to
have the
need.
flexibility of helping them according to the need.
And the fraud protection,
That's
so
right.
they don't abuse
But
the
I want
system.
to see that in writing. I want to see the program very well, you see, delineated, how the program, what the do's and don't do, okay? Because, I mean, I didn't get any information from about this. The only information I had, I heard it during the press conference. That's all I did.
Right.
And I asked what's happening with it, and the information that I got is we are hiring a company that has the platform that is working with the county, and once they have it, then we're going to start. I was asked, and I repeated it like that. It's going to be same information about how much they're going to receive that I heard during the press conference, and the information that was given to me that we were trying to reach an agreement with that company that has the platform. That's what I've been giving them outside, you see? And I don't like to say things that people, getting information from me that it is not quite correct. And the only way that I can get the correct information is if you guys give it to me.
Right. And noted, Commissioner De La Portilla, about the documentation straight from HUD. However, the approval in February did have a program description, which now we knew that there was going to be further guidance that we need to change, specifically what we have discussed today regarding the ample amount of things that we can now provide to a tenant when it comes to other than rent. Now, as far as the $2,000, that's something that we approved. It isn't written in stone. The county is giving $3,000 for a maximum of $36,000. So, you know, with the 14, it is a lot of money, but $2,000 was more of an average, what the Realtor Association considers an average rent in the city of Miami. So to try to help as many people as possible under the parameters, if we can go to 3, if the will of the commission is to do 3, we can do 3. I mean, all of this is subject to change, and before we roll the program out,
Does Dan McKay have the ability to do a case-by-case analysis without any particular number given to it? Because it could be 1,800, right? It could be 1,500.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, so so in other words, instead of just throwing money out there, it's maybe somebody has a $1,200 rent.
oh, no, absolutely.
And maybe they have a $60 internet bill, maybe a $60 cable bill, and they all need a month, or that's all they need.
Exactly.
And they, and they apply for that, and we kind of take it case by case. If Dan McKay has the ability to do that, then that's what we do.
Yes.
Always, the maximum will always be 24K, no matter, 24,000, no matter what, right? But not like what was said initially to us was, hey, it's 24,000, it's rent for 12 months. Imagine if I would hear that my city government was going to pay 12 months of my rent in advance. How excited would I be? My city government's going to pay my rent for a year? And that's what we got initially, right? From the first presentation. Because it's up to 12 months. It's not 12 months, it's up to 12 months. It's in 3 month increments. There's a difference.
That's correct.
And I'd rather not even do 3 months. I'd rather do 1 month or 2. And say, get back on your feet. We want to encourage people to get back on their feet. Because maybe they do. And they say, you know, I no longer need this help. And that means that means that we help more people, right? So the amount doesn't matter to me. We have a federal limit set for 24,000. We know that. But I'm not going to first give 24,000 to this one, 24,000 to that one, 24,000 to that one. I'd rather give 3 here, 4 there, 3 there, 4 there. Right? And that way we help more people get back on their feet.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea. I think that's the thinking behind it. And getting back on your feet means also paying internet and other things that are quality of life issues, not only the rent. Because you can pay your rent, but you don't have any cable, you don't have any internet, you don't have any electricity, you don't have your plumbing is messed up. So what? Right? You have a leak, you can't fix it. That's included in that, right? Household expenses. Now, the secretary, one more thing, I'll close it up with this. The Secretary of the Treasury, the last question that's asked there, when I share it with you, you'll read it. What are household expenses to be determined? Remember, this is a Democrat bill. Sorry, Commissioner Russell. So it's very, very broad, right? What a household expense is, right? It could be anything, And what the heck is housing instability? I don't know what that means, Like food insecurity, right? I don't get those things, but anyway, I'm a Republican, so I'll never get those things. But housing instability could very well be yes. If you can't pay your water bill, you have no water in your home, right? That's instability, right? If you can't pay your electricity, you have no electricity in your home. That's where I want to help people. The whole package, not only for the rent. And that's the only thing. So the amount doesn't really matter. It's whether Dan McKay or the company that you hire has the ability to say, let me take a look at this. This one makes sense. Let's give him a month. Let's give him 2 months and take it from there based on income and everything else.
I agree with you in that, Commissioner, because there may be some people that they are 4 months behind or 5 months behind, and they just got a job, but they cannot make those 4 months, and then we can avoid them being evicted. But this is very simple. Just saying that it is going to be maximum of $24,000 according to need, each case according to need, and that's it. That according to need means everything. Okay? That's what I was going to say.
That is precisely how it is run. It is the needs only, not just because we have a maximum that we're going to give it to them.
Yeah.
It's what each individual tenant needs is what we will help them with. And of course, Nan McKay is able to do that.
every person is a different case. It has to be studied case by case.
Absolutely.
That's-
Every case is different. Every case is different.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
You need an action on this item. I understand.
We
you
would
need
like
an
action on this item.
I'm sorry?
We would like action on this item,
What motion would you like?
that you approve the engagement of Nan McKay.
This is a 4/5, it would be correct?
So
believe it.
commissioners, the way that this is happening is that the administration is advising you that they're going to enter into this emergency procurement, and then we'll bring back an item with the 4/5, and so it could go through the proper process.
So you do not need an action right now?
No, no.
You don't need an
We could-
action
So you're
right now.
saying we could have left an hour ago?
No. That's not my
you should have
understanding.
said I'd
That's
be
not
home
my
by now.
understanding. My understanding is that it's a 4/5 vote today for them to secure or contract with Nan McKay to move forward. And we kind of defined in the debate what the
Right.
commission wants the program to look like. If there's a change in that, you come back to us, say, hey, we're thinking of this, but make sure you keep us informed.
Right.
But the idea is to move forward, because people, look, the county has had the program in place for months. People are calling my office, and I'm sure they're calling every commissioner's office, saying, hey, you guys aren't doing rental assistance, what's going on? The county's doing it. One of my employees said, well, the county has a form online, can I use that form? I go, you can't use that, you have to make sure that we approve it here in the commission first. So we have to approve something today.
So legally, and just so I can clarify, the city attorney is saying that under a state of emergency, the manager can go ahead and engage without us, and we could retro, but of course we have the right and ability to forfeit this
On a
here
4/5 vote, yeah.
today, right now, if we want.
Yeah, to move forward.
We have 4 commissioners.
Okay,
That's
let's-
the attorney, am I
I move it.
correct?
Wait.
That's the unanimous.
Is-
Commissioner.
Mr. Manager, is there a reason you'd prefer to do it the other way?
No. The city attorney has advised that we cannot proceed with the 4/5, that it requires proper advertising, correct?
So,
That's different.
under
That's
emergency,
different.
under
So-
emergency procurement, with the procurement director writing, advising you, you could do it. You can go forward, go forth, do everything you need to do, then it has to properly come back here before the city commission for them to do a 4/5 at that time, retroactive.
So it's an advertising issue.
Right.
Mr.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
Mr. Manager, I want you to go forward with confidence that you do have the 4/5 votes. Okay, so
May I ask a question? Would it be possible for them to bless us moving forward with Nan McKay?
we just did.
That's what
Right,
he's
that's
doing.
what I
Yeah,
thought
but he
this
said
was,
that.
all
Is that what he
this,
said?
We just did.
right, all this discussion was for their
Yeah.
blessing, because they want to be informed, they want to know, they
Okay,
want to know what's
okay.
going on.
So you have our blessing.
Thank you.
Right? Let's go move forward and get the program going so people can know that the city is providing rental assistance.
Correct.
If I could ask the manager a question, though. Mr. Manager, part of the problem that we were delayed somewhat was that we did not receive the information, the full information on how to proceed with it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had been waiting on guidelines, and so that's part of what we were waiting for in terms of structure. But now we have that, which is why we wanted to properly present this and get approvals once we had full understanding of what the specific guidelines were.
All right, that's what I want to get out there so that people could understand what you had told me earlier on the delay. But you could go forward with confidence that you will have your 4/5 vote on this item. I do want to touch upon something else because, you know, there's a small group out there that don't live in the city, that they're being paid to attack the city, to try to create disruption, to try to undermine Miami. And there's one character there that I mentioned this morning that... my
Billy
God,
Cohen.
He went wild, I'm told. He was all upset. You know, they like to dish it up, but they can't take it. So, for today, I'd like to take a few more minutes for my little Billy Cohen afternoon chat. And, you know, I think I'm going to have this in the agenda, every item. So if you guys don't mind, put me for a few minutes.
Could we just finish this item, Commissioner?
I thought we did.
Just I had one other comment before we
Oh,
go.
okay.
Thank you.
I was beginning to enjoy this.
Oh, we're gonna get back to it, don't
Why did
worry.
you interrupt him? I don't
I
understand.
apologize for, he was about to get on a flow. Mr. Manager, the American Rescue Plan being passed today by President Biden would yield potentially $70 million to us in 60 days from passage.
Yes, but it was not passed by President Biden. The legislature, the Congress passed
Right.
it. The President Biden
Correct.
hasn't passed anything.
Correct, but he will sign it, correct?
Yes, he will sign it,
If he
yes.
signs it today,
Just to be clear.
yeah, if he signs it today, the funds could come to the city as soon as, let's say, our May 13th commission meeting. So what I would like is for us to have a plan to spend that money on day one, rather than starting the planning once we receive the funds. So we have 2 months to create a $70 million rescue plan for our city.
I second that.
That, and I'll triple that.
And
because
as
that-
you've seen, this body is very specific on the policies of how we distribute these funds, how we help our residents. And so I think you're going to need to circulate either once per commission meeting leading up to that to see a status and get a feel for it, or start visiting commissioners one by
No.
one.
We have-
My suggestion would
we
have
have 100 I'm
a
sorry.
dedicated meeting.
Yeah, I agree. We have, it's 139 million total, right?
Yes,
Correct.
70 million first batch,
yes.
a specific meeting for that. That's a heck of a lot of money. The administration needs to bring a plan, like, you're correct, Mr. Chair, 100%, 10% correct. A specific plan of how we can spend those dollars, and if we can, in fact, talk about some of our other issues that we can address with those dollars that we talked about earlier today and that we talked about the last couple of weeks. Some of our collective bargaining issues and all those things in general terms, right? You come with specifics, you can spend it on this, on that, on this, affordable housing, whatever the issues are. How can we spend those dollars?
How can they be spent?
So they haven't done the
But
analysis yet.
specifically, like we did with rental assistance, specifically.
That's
Where
right.
we can spend it. Because an infusion of that kind of cash into our city coffers is very valuable for our residents this year. So we don't want to wait, we have $139 million, 70 million, like we're waiting, by the way, with the Miami Forever bond. We're still waiting on that. How long do we sit on this money? And by the way, are we getting any interest on that, on top of that, right? So if we're waiting on it, nothing's gonna get done. Let's just get, the chair is correct. When it comes to you, when the money gets here, we need to have a special meeting where you tell us, spend it on this, and then we can have the debate.
Well,
I agree with you.
so my recommendation was way ahead of that, obviously, way ahead of receiving the money, for us to have a dedicated meeting specifically for that. Once we have a determination and we have we'll call it a white paper on what we can actually do with the money, we'll disseminate that information ahead of time and then have a dedicated meeting specifically to address and discuss how we're gonna.
Okay.
So that
realize
would
money.
need to take place in April at some point.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So
But a
we'll-
special meeting, not
Yes,
aligned with an
agreed,
existing.
Agreed. And the first thing we need to decide is the basic, how the division of the pie, the bucket of, how much is for
Correct.
rental assistance, how much is for, COVID recovery, the various buckets once we decide that, then we can get into the specifics of how each program works. So this may be more than one special meeting, so please schedule it early enough that we could potentially reconvene and vote on something final before March 13th, or May
May.
13th.
One final point.
Yes.
One final point. There's a recalculation of the API that I spoke about earlier. The new API, the December 2020, whatever allocations we have to be reflected by the new API calculations. By the way, Commissioner Carollo, I'm 2 points ahead of you, at 22 to 20% on the new API calculation. The calculations that have been used until now were December 2019, pre-COVID. So Mr. Mensa did a new calculation, and he found what the actual percentage of poverty in each district. So as we distribute these dollars, I want to reflect the most updated information on where the poverty is throughout our.
That's fine, I'd just like
Our
to see
city.
his
Fine with me.
calculations, because Mr. Mensa sometimes has hiccups in his
If
calculations.
he doesn't pull a rose on us, we should be fine. If he doesn't pull a rose on us, we should be fine.
What's fair is fair.
Yeah, absolutely, that's all.
Absolutely. What's fair is fair.
Whatever it is, we go along with it.
That's right.
Just a minute, gentlemen. Mr. Mensa is asking if he can be recognized on Zoom.
No.
Is there a way to promote him on Zoom? Maybe he wants to address this comment.
Can I give Mr. Reyes this, so the information, Mr.
Sure.
Ferreiro?
Sure, and let me
So
come.
just for
You got a
public
copy?
records purposes, I think that's the FAQ.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, if Mr. Mensa is not available or we can't promote him on Zoom?
Every commissioner office got a copy of those FAQs. They only brought me one, so your chief of staff all got a copy of that, and so did the city manager. So they have it.
Are you saying he's requesting to be on?
The frequently asked questions from the Department of Treasury and the
Are you saying
rental.
he's
When was it sent?
The clerk just
Is it,
alerted me
sir?
that he's raising
When
his
was
hand
it
on Zoom.
sent?
Oh, really?
No, right
I
now.
thought he was at a family, dealing with a family emergency.
Right now, 10 minutes ago.
Alfredo?
He was asking to be promoted during the conversation on the
Promoted.
program.
Recognize.
I think we better start again.
I think we're firing people, we're not promoting people.
Zoom speaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if he wants to be promoted or asked to.
Recognize.
I don't think
give
there's
an
anything
access now.
outstanding to discuss, so I'm going to close that item. I would just like to finalize the last two action items, which were the pocket items 10 and 11. Do we have any public comment? Has anyone called in on these items? We do have a call. All right, there's already been moved in second, so we'll take public comment and then we'll vote.
Do we have a call or?
We do, they're technically trying to connect it. There's someone waiting on the line. While you're on with the City of Miami Commission, you have 2 minutes to address any of the items that we're speaking on. Just a moment, please. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, so you can start now. Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Good evening. I am a resident of the Silver Bluff area for the past 47 years. It is under contention over the barricades. Frankly, I am disgusted that Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Mr. De La Portilla have enjoyed expressing that this is a fight between the county and the city.
What does this
Commissioner
have to do
Carollo has
with this
alleged
item?
that this is a vendetta
What
from
does this
Higgins,
have to do
which
with
for
this
the
item?
record, I did not support or vote for. For you to state that this is an example of the hypocrisy that exists in our community is quite comical, considering how politicians love to speak from both sides of their mouths. So let's save that for another day. To state that the removal of the barricades is an example of the disparity between the affluent and the one-poor Silver Bluff community is just wrong. We, the residents, not the few who gathered and rallied around you, Commissioner Carollo, are the ones who are caught in your power struggle between the city and the county. You allege that you are protecting our citizens. Are you? There is an ALS that is trapped by this barricade, and just
Why
2
are we
days
playing
ago,
that?
an elderly resident of that ALS had to be wheeled out onto Pearlway in order to be transported to the hospital. We are the ones that are trapped by these enclosures, not you. If something happens to any of our elderly residents and the emergency response service can't get to them on time, it will be on you. 1 minute can save a life, and Mr. Carollo believes that our elderly residents can wait 3 additional minutes for services to arrive. These barricades are a life and safety issue. Listening to all of you, I'm disgusted by your desire to strut your power and show the county who is in charge. Mr. De La Portilla spoke of the county's arrogance. Sir, are you considering your own? That is not my issue. My issue is that I am now forced to remain in traffic an additional 7 to 9 minutes because of these closures. Since you both love to reminisce, allow me to reminisce to a time when we asked then Commissioner Francis Suarez to place rotundas in our area to slow down the traffic. But funny enough, the disparity in having someone in their back pocket, only the resident who was friendly and endorses you, Mr. Carollo, had the rotunda placed on the street by her home. Yet the road, the ones near St. Peter and Paul, where Mr. Sanchez lives, an affluent area, have rotundas and are not
Thank
having
you
to
very
deal
much.
with barricades.
Thank you, the time is up.
Stop deflecting.
Thank you, that item's been closed and the 2
Excuse
minutes
me,
are up.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
You're recognized.
I want to respect your directions as chair, but what did that have to do with the 2 items we're voting on?
It does not. They are calling
Well-
about an item that was earlier
Yeah,
that
but
they couldn't
that
get
was the
through.
discussion, that we did not take any vote in that. If they want to express themselves, they could do that, or could have done that before the meeting when people had a chance to speak. And look, I let this one go now, but we need to follow our rules and not have this free-for-all. Did she even mention her name? I might have missed it.
Mr. Clerk?
Was there a name?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to capture the name.
Well,
me?
well, look,
That should have been first. I
Well,
apologize that you
there's
didn't
a
cut
pro-
it.
there's a-
This is the
I'm
problem
glad
that I
they captured
have.
that.
Commissioner Carollo is correct. There's a process here. There's a protocol here. I'm big on protocol, you know that. If somebody calls to rant and rave like this lady did, on an issue that's not before us, you cut them off.
Well,
You cut them off.
yeah.
They have their time to come during public comment on every issue on our agenda, but to insult people is not correct. And your power as chair should be carefully exercised, or acting chair, right? Carefully exercised, but it should be exercised when it has to be exercised.
Not only that.
You should never have allowed that to happen,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect. Never.
Ken, with all, frankness, I have to agree with that. We can't allow this to go on. Furthermore, the reason I asked if they gave a name, because that sounded like a very, very familiar voice. Sounded like a voice that was the one that instructed the police officers on behalf of a commissioner to throw me out San Juan Bosco, not to let me in. This sounds like the voice of a lady that lives in an area where you have street closures all along. But she's not complaining about those. I don't know who the person is. All that I'm saying is that it sounded like that voice, because I have spoken to the few people that have been against this. I've given them the opportunity to speak to me, and not one of those individuals sounded like this lady. So the fact that she started right off the bat attacking and insulting and not giving her name, spells, a lot of words. I think some of us know who I'm referring to. You might have recognized that voice too, but, this is what's happening. We're getting people, transplants, that are not from that area, that are being brought in so that they could attack, they could disturb the real feeling of the majority of the residents of the area. I mean, we stated that, and we knew that when we voted for this in January. You're not going to have 100% of people. In fact, I'll bet you if you go now to Coral Gables, in all their different neighborhoods, you go to even Coral Gate, and ask people, do they want the closures? You're going to have some people that will tell you no. But the fact, again, that they're using false and fake information. Oh, the people are going to die because of it. You only have a 3-block area, my God, there. And the way we've done it, the different paramedics, fire trucks, police vehicles can go through without any interference. But, I just wonder why these people only worry about this area, but they don't worry about any of the other areas. I mean, Coral Gate, my God, you got to go maybe 8, 9, 10 blocks to go around. In Coral Gables, I mean, you got areas, you got to go a long, long way. And like that, you got other cities. But there's no talk of that there. The only place that the sky is going to fall, that you're going to have earthquakes, you're going to have drought, you're going to have hurricanes, is in this little poor area, which is the only area, if there's any, that really needs it in Miami-Dade County in street closures, is that one. For a problem that was created by the state, by the county, that was none of their doing, because they made an expressway of small residential streets so that people could go into US 1 and come out of US 1 through those roads. So, anyway,
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm
I
sure
hear
you were
both.
trying to be, balanced, Commissioner. I understand that, and I too have at times bend backwards to give people the right to express themselves and speak more. But we opened it up again for other issues, and for people to come in when they know that they could have spoken before, or they could do it in other fashions, is not right. And so be it,
You are correct,
We're smoking
Commissioner.
enough.
The public comment we were opening was for different items. And you're also correct, there is not a requirement to open public comment for discussion items that have no action. It's up to the will of the body of the chair and the commission. But yes, that was someone jumping in after that item was closed, and since the phone lines were open.
And look,
But I just want to say, I do tend to err on the side of our bosses, the residents. And if someone is inappropriate, crass, using foul language, definitely, I will shut it down. It's a fine line, though, when people are speaking passionately. It's not that I'm trying to open the lines and let people be rude to our body.
I
but
understand that, but
I hear you. I hear you.
the
So
problem here was,
It's not passionately, it's offensively, it's a difference. Passion and not being offensive are two different things.
they were out of order because this was not
Right.
the issue in hand. And I'm pretty certain I know who this lady is. And, she's losing it.
We have a picture of her.
that was my error. I didn't realize the clerk was not able to capture the name. We should have absolutely stopped because we do have the right to know who is addressing us. We don't need your address. We just need your name and what you're speaking on. So
So you're blaming it on the clerk now?
not at all. I didn't catch the name myself, but if I had realized it hadn't been captured, I would have stopped and asked for the name. But let's move on.
On that same issue, Madam City Attorney, look, this whole thing with phone calling opens itself up to a lot of stuff. We're open already. People
hiding.
come like before COVID. We never had people being able to call in like this. People came in, they could speak their 2 minutes, and we could see who was calling. Here now, they could be calling me from any part of the world. Who knows who it is? And conceivably, like someone tried to do once already, they could try to shut down our meetings where we won't be able to even meet and do the people's work. So my question is, why do we have to be taking phone calls? People could come in, they could speak from out there, or they could come in here and speak from here. Why is it that we still have to take phone calls when before COVID, we never did before? There's nothing now that prevents individuals from coming to City Hall and expressing themselves.
We are not legally required to. This is a courtesy that we offer to our residents during a state of emergency to not have to come in physically. But we are not required to. You are correct.
If I may be recognized for 1 second.
You're very recognized.
To our residents, not the people from other parts of the county or other parts of the state or other parts of the country, other parts of the world. When we open the phone lines up, anybody can come in, even though they're not under our jurisdiction, and say whatever they want to say. Are we legally required to have these phone calls? So why are we doing it? And let's put a stop to it.
That's what I just said.
Okay, well, no, but I'm asking the city attorney, because I know she's the lawyer, right?
Yep.
So I'm asking her, we're not legally required to do it. Let's stop doing it. Put an end to it. We don't need to do this anymore. People can come and testify here. People can come and, do other, but not call in and just from any part of the state or any part of the world and go on a rant like this lady just did. Right? So can we put a stop to it?
It's the will of the body.
It is the will of the.
It is, I think it's the will of the body.
Just
So let's just vote on it.
Okay,
So you'll know clearly what the will of the body is, and we stop it.
Just a
Let's
moment.
take a vote on
Yeah,
it.
okay, but just keep in mind, I've got 2 commissioners with no mask on right now. We have 1 commissioner who's too sick to even be here because of his COVID infection.
I have a mask on. I just want to make sure I'm understood to make clear.
Let me say.
And we have
But
plexiglass in
please,
between.
This is my point. We are getting complacent while there is still a pandemic out there that could affect any one of us.
That's a different conversation.
No, but this is-
No, Mr. Chairman, what we're discussing now is when people call in and rant and rave. We're
No,
not
that I
discussing
understand.
the
but
pandemic or the mask.
But I am telling you why I believe that it's okay to still have phone lines open and why we should. Because otherwise people are compelled to come in here.
Then-
Do you know?
Then vote against it.
Just a moment.
Then vote against
Just a
it.
moment. I don't even want to be here physically. I wish that we could meet virtually because of all of our
Right.
health. Do you know that we have 1,000 employees who have contracted COVID? 1/4 of our workforce has gotten this virus.
Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number. He's right.
Okay.
And-
Okay, that's
and-
fine, but
and-
it is what it is. So
I'm just trying to keep it as safe as possible. It's not about allowing people to
Mr.
snipe us. It's not about,
All right,
So-
let me, if I could answer him for 1 second, because the part that I was drinking coffee, and that's why I had my mask off for a minute, like you were, but let me say this to you from me, because I take this very seriously. And if there's been one office that after serving over 100,000 meals, serving over 7,000 bags of food during the holidays, over 6,000 turkeys and more, and going like all of us through all the buildings, that no one in my staff has gotten COVID. It's been in my office because I made sure that we follow protocol, wear masks, wear gloves, and everybody had it. But let me also say this. In my case, and I want to be very, very clear in this, I have read the latest studies on COVID and in vaccinations. The latest one came from Israel, that they are more up to date than any country, including our own, in doing studies. And they've done it with Pfizer in particular, and Moderna, but Pfizer. All their studies, like the ones that Pfizer has done independently and Moderna, indicate that once you've had your second shot, I have had my second shot because of my age, that you do not transmit to anyone COVID.
No can be infected.
You do not transmit it. So I just want to get that on the record, which is another reason why it's important that people get their vaccination. Because once they've been vaccinated, not only are they protected, tremendously protected, and let me tell you another study that came from Israel, which I find it really, really good news, that both Pfizer and Moderna will still protect you from the Brazilian variant, which we were very worried about.
And the British and all.
Well, the UK, it's a proven fact already. But the fact is that once you're vaccinated, not only are you protecting yourself, but you're protected from spreading COVID to anyone else.
you're absolutely
And
right.
So I just wanted to get that on the record.
And you're absolutely right that vaccines are our solution to getting back to normality in this room. But the paradox is, we are forced to be here in person, and the staff is forced to be here in person. But the governor has not allowed us to vaccinate anyone in this room other than for age. Every one of our employees that are forced to be here should be allowed to be vaccinated at this point.
Listen, I cannot speak for the state. I'm frustrated that we haven't gotten enough vaccines, and I have tried everything possible, like I'm sure every one of us has, and we haven't. I found it sad that after we were the ones that opened the doors with San Juan Bosco, those vaccines from the state were given to the county to use, and then the district commissioner, the order was given to the county police, he can't come in. And I have it on video, by the way. I have it on video. And the police officer, before we got him on video the second time, told me that he pointed out to the aide of the county commissioner that gave the order that I could not come in. Then when the cameras went on to film the telephones, he tried to change the story, but we got him where he said that commissioners could not come in. But there were commissioners there, one commissioner, and we had dozens of residents that had made reservations and were told to come in for their shots, and their names were not on the list. So I don't know what went on there, because we were not allowed to go in. And Commissioner, I will say this to you, people don't have to come here they could speak from outside in the open air, where we could have a camera, we could see who it is, and they could see us from the outside too, if they don't want to come here.
We could set that up, that's absolutely true.
That's no problem in doing it.
And I think we do that, and we eliminate any of these voice messages, and we do that, and we allow them to come outside. We think,
It'll be the will of the body. I'm not ready for that. I wish we could get a little further along in the vaccines before we force people to come here physically, but it's the will of the body. If there's a motion, we can take a vote on it.
I will make the motion. If I will get a second on it, we'll move forward.
I will second it.
What is the motion exactly, please?
The motion is to disallow these audio.
Telephone public
These telephone public comments, and people have to come in person and stand outside, and we can provide all the mechanisms available to them to be able to address their government.
I would only include
As long as there is that mechanism that
That's why I
everybody
said all
can
the proper
come.
mechanisms.
That'll
for
be
them
part
to
of the
do it.
motion is directing the manager to create that mechanism.
Correct, which is simply a camera outside and a podium, and people come and they speak, and we see who they are.
We used to have that.
And
Yeah, we used to
as
have that, we still have that,
If
right?
the maker of the motion would agree, as part of the motion, people have the option of whether they could be outside in the open air to address us.
Correct, yes.
Or if they want to come in.
Yes, sir, I
But
agree,
Doing it this way, we're not putting anybody in jeopardy.
correct.
No one should be concerned unless they're afraid to breathe in open air. And the virus
agree.
doesn't travel like that.
And we make sure that our police department, our sergeant's office keeps a 6 feet social distance, and everything is properly observed, the protocols are
But
respected.
in the world that we're living today, when you have, Twitter terrorists, individuals that they just want to disrupt, they should want to destroy, this game cannot happen in the city of Miami, where who knows who's calling, and if someone decides that they want to put 1,000 calls on 100 different topics, our meetings could actually be disrupted, because now we're talking 100 different topics.
And the function of government is disrupted.
Yeah.
I understand you, and I hear your point of view. I know that all of you have residents who have been serviced by the homebound vaccine, and there are people who are afraid to even leave their house even to get the vaccine. And they're the ones I'm thinking about that may want to comment on one of our recovery programs or something. And for me, I would like to wait a little longer, but it's the will of this body. There is a motion. Is there a second?
There's a second.
Before I vote, I want to ask the city attorney a question. Are we required to receive, because I think this was a directive from the governor, right? Are we required to receive calls?
No.
We're not required to receive calls. It was my recommendation that if we did not have the video submissions, that another opportunity would be the telephone calls when we were in the height of the pandemic, and this was a good access point for the citizens. But we are not required to do so. You still have the public comment form that allows everybody in real time to submit, and you get those updated several times during the meeting. But I do want to make sure that whatever decision you make, that there is adequate access.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if we
There's
have,
been a motion, there's been a second. I say this with great hesitation, but is there anyone on the phone who would like to comment on this item? There are no calls, we will close public comment. Is there anyone here who'd like to comment on this item? Closing public comment.
we haven't not eliminated calls yet.
Not yet, until, any further discussion from the dais? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you very much, respectfully, thank you.
The call was straight.
Motion passes.
Sorry, Maggie.
No. So we were trying to finish items PI 10 and 11, the mayor's legislative priorities. There has been a motion and a second. We'll bring it back on the table. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Was there anything else that I'm missing?
Well, unless you're scared.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, you had a.
Unless you've got a scare of this guy, I don't know.
No. I'd forgotten you had a pocket discussion you'd like to bring up.
Well, look, I asked the manager the questions that I did on the rental assistance program, because there are some out there that have been trying to twist the facts, put out fake news in their way, to keep attacking this city, the city's mayor, the administration, elected officials, individuals that don't even live in the city of Miami. And I didn't know that just by saying a few words, I was going to ruffle so many feathers and, Billy Cohen. But I'm told that I did, and I just want to make it clear to the gentleman that if the reason he's so upset on the rental assistance program that we had, that it hadn't taken off yet, which I think the administration explained, I want him to understand that he cannot apply to the city of Miami for any funding. He's not allowed to receive any rental assistance in the city of Miami. And let me explain to him why. First of all, he doesn't live in the city of Miami. He lives in the Jockey Club. That's on Biscayne Boulevard, about 111th Street. There's 20-plus streets outside of the city of Miami boundaries. Second of all, he has been receiving rental assistance for a long time. Rental assistance from his staunch Republican grandfather that has given him the apartment, the small apartment that he lives in the Jockey Club, where I know he likes to show off that he's a millionaire, that he's got all his money, but the truth of the matter is he's far from it. So he doesn't qualify for rental assistance for us. He lives next to the grandfather's sister, where she lives with his cousin, two other staunch Republicans in the Jockey Club. And his father lives not far away in North Miami, another staunch Republican. Billy Cohen, I think, is one of those closet Republicans that is laughing at a lot of people, pretending that he's this progressive individual, when he lives off of Republicans. Now, I'm not going to go into more today, but I do want to put aside a special few minutes every meeting. There's going to be little Billy Cohen time. Maybe next meeting I'll go into how those condominiums were paid for, how the money came in, since he likes to call everybody a racist. Everybody's a racist, according to little Billy Cohen. Well, maybe we need to show the next meeting how that money was made so he could live off his grandfather. Maybe we need to show the pay-for-play Billy and talk about how he has been trying to harm people in the city of Miami and who's been paying so he could play. So I will leave it at that for now, but he could try to play his games against this city. I'll say this to you, Commissioner. He, along with a couple of more of these characters, bragged and did everything they could to defeat you when you ran last time. In District 2, that I think we all know has to be the most progressive district in Miami, not even in District 2 were they able to knock you off. I mean, they didn't even come close. So if they think that they're going to be able to hurt the mayor or hurt me, boy, these guys really don't understand the city of Miami. And that's because they don't live here. They weren't from here. When I first got elected commissioner, Billy was in diapers in the West Coast, where he was born at, 1 year of age or so. So today, now that I see that I really have gotten under his skin somehow, I mean, boy, for a guy that makes his living attacking, to be so soft that he can't take even a joke. I mean, the guy really thinks that I wanted to go out on a date with him to the movies. Can you imagine that? He doesn't even know what a joke is. But I do want to repeat that just like he came once before to my office, and when I walked in the room and he saw me, and he was all smiles, I mean, I almost was going to ask him until I was told who he was. I was going to ask, who's this little boy here? Because he's short, you know. But I was told that was Billy Cohen. And he didn't make any of those nasty remarks that he makes about me now, or any of you, or the mayor. He was as nice and as polite as I've ever seen anyone. So I really don't understand why, if he saw this monster, like he wants to make me out to be now, face to face, he didn't say anything, didn't do anything. He was just all smiles, laughing. Everything was wonderful, hunky-dory. But little Billy now doesn't like any of us. But it's because it's pay for play Billy. Pay for play Billy. So stay tuned, boys and girls. It's going to be fun. Every meeting on little Billy Corbin time.
Mr. Chair, before we adjourn, I want to wish happy birthday to Commissioner Carollo. You see, he's getting old. And I would like all of us to,
That's
join me
right.
singing happy
But
birthday.
it's tomorrow,
I
right?
think it's up to him. Do you want us to sing?
Commissioner,
It is tomorrow. but
Commissioner, it's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow we won't be here.
Oh, yeah, but it's tomorrow, so we sing
Tomorrow
happy
we won't be here,
birthday.
So,
Are we ready? Are we ready?
yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you.
All right, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
A young 59, right, Commissioner?
That's very nice of all of you. Well, I got to be at least 65, so I could have gotten my shots.
Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
Have a nice weekend, all of you guys.